Dan Liberto here, and I teach people how to love and accept themselves just the way they are. Today I want to talk about a topic or a state of being that has personally affected me, and I want to share how to kind of work through this state of being and transform this state of being into something that's more positive and more true to who you really are. And that is a state of being called neuroticism. Okay, so when I first heard the term neurotic, I heard it on a Green Day song called Basket Case. And the line goes, neurotic to the bone, no doubt about it. So when I first heard it, I didn't even know what the word meant. I just liked the song. I was born in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, so yeah, that's where I first heard that term. As I got older, I started to find out, all these labels of how they labeled states of being, how all these psychologists labeled states of being. And, I came across the term neurotic, and it resonated with who I am. And so first let me start off with what the term means. And then we'll go into how to be less neurotic and more true. Okay? So what neurotic means is, what it is a functional mental disorder involving chronic distress, but neither delusions nor hallucinations. Okay? So what this really is chronic stress as a result of patterned negative thinking. Okay, so chronic stress as a result of patterned negative thinking. So this is a behavior, this is a way of thinking that we've patterned into ourselves by continuously thinking in negative ways. And where does this come from? Okay, this comes from learned behavior, learned ways of being through our upbringing. So we basically, most of us who are neurotic had parents, at least one parent who was neurotic or is neurotic, and we learned to be neurotic. So the good thing about this is that in the same way we learned how to be neurotic, we can also unlearn how to be neurotic by correcting our thinking. But first, to correct our thinking, we have to understand how we're thinking in the first place. And to do that, we're going to lean upon Western psychology, Western psychologists, to understand, and then we're gonna dive into Eastern mysticism to heal. So let's start with the Western psychology. We're going to call upon our really awesome person or friend or psychologist. He's not really my friend, but if he was alive, then he would be my friend. Or I at least would want him to be. Carl Jung. And Carl Jung basically said that neuroticism is for people who are well adjusted by social standards but are troubled by existential questions. So usually people who are neurotic are well adjusted in society and in social settings and all of those things, but they have the wrong answers. They give themselves the wrong answers to existential questions. And Jung says, quote, "I have frequently seen people become neurotic when they are content themselves with inadequate or wrong answers to the questions of life." So with that being said, I want to ask you, what are the ultimate truths you're giving yourself around subjective questions of life? Where are your truths coming from? Are they coming from a parental figure? Are they coming from society? Are they coming from the media? Where are your truths coming from? Okay? And also, what truths are you telling yourself? What are you believing to be true for yourself? Because whatever you believe to be true is going to manifest in your external reality. So what truths are you telling yourself? And after you answer that, decide if you want that to be true for you anymore. Do you still want that to be true for you? If you have certain truths, decide if you want those truths to be true. Okay? Because whatever you believe to be true is true. It is true for you. You're going to manifest it. You're going to experience that truth in your perceptive reality. The second thing that Jung said is the majority of my patients were not believers, but ones who had lost their faith. Okay, so now my question to you is, on a scale from 1 to 10, where is your faith? Where is your faith in yourself? Where is your faith in humanity? And where is your faith that everything is working out exactly as it should for you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have? Okay, so now that you answer that question, you may want to look at that number and rekindle your faith. And how do you rekindle your faith? Well, you rekindle your faith by changing your truths or your beliefs. It goes back to number 1. Okay, and what faith really is remembering the truth deep down inside of you. Knowing the truth of what is and remembering the truth of what is deep down inside of you and bringing that back up to the surface and remembering the truths. The third thing that Jung says, and I'm going to read it because it's very long, contemporary man is blind to the fact that with all his rationality and efficiency, he is possessed by powers that are beyond his control. His gods and demons have not disappeared at all. They merely got new names. They keep him on the run with restlessness, vague apprehensions, psychological complications, an insatiable need for pills, alcohol, tobacco, food, and above all, a large array of neuroses. So reflecting on that, okay, as Jung continues to talk about neuroses, I want you to ask yourself, who have you made your gods, or what have you made your gods? And what or who have you made your demons? Okay, because whatever we make our God is something that we're going to relentlessly chase after. Okay, so what is that? It may be money, it may be power, it may be status, it may be all those things of the ego. Okay, and what have you made your demons? Okay, maybe that's something that you strive really hard for, but you feel that it's out of your grasp. Or maybe it's something that's hurt you in some way. It could be relationships. It could be a certain job. It could be success in some type of way that you've made a demon because you feel that it's out of your grasp. You've told yourself the false truth that it's out of your grasp. So basically having these false gods and these false demons are the cause of neuroses. Because what neuroses is always believing that we need something more. That we need something. It's a compulsive need. So to let go of this neuroses, to end the neuroses is just a symptom, is to realize that you have already right here what you need inside of you. You just have to tell yourself the correct truths to let that manifest into the external reality. So we do that by living in the present moment. And as the opportunities arise, following those opportunities and acting on those opportunities. So instead of always being in our heads, when we can't act, we realize that when is the right time to take action, and when is the right time to let go of the thinking mind and the false truths that we're telling ourselves. So with that being said, the ego is really at the root of this disorder, neuroses. Okay? The ego is at the root of this disorder. And so once we recognize that, we begin to let our ego go. We begin to work on letting go of the ego, and instead shifting to the present moment, shifting to the heart, and just letting things happen as they arise. So instead of thinking of the past all the time, or thinking of the future, or just thinking of just different things, different scenarios, how you could have whatever, we come into the present moment and we experience reality exactly how it is without our subjective thinking mind. We just simply be, we just simply experience. This is how we let go of the ego. We just live in the present moment. This is how we let go of neuroses, is by living in the present moment. This is illustrated by another psychologist by the name of Karen Horney, and she said, neuroses is a distorted way of looking at the world and oneself, which is determined by compulsive needs rather than by a genuine interest in the world as it is. So by compulsive needs rather than a genuine interest of the world as it is. What is that saying? That's basically saying that the compulsive needs, aka thinking mind, that with neuroses you're too involved in thinking mind rather than experiencing the world as it is in this moment, aka being present. So that's exactly what I just said a few seconds ago, was to move out of the suffering of neuroses. We move into the present moment, and we experience reality as what it really is rather than the false truths that we tell ourselves over and over again. That isn't true. So, to deal with these negative compulsive thoughts, what I want you to do is, when they come up, I want you to ask yourself in the moment, is there anything that I can do about this right now? Okay? And if the answer is yes, then take action on that. Count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and take action on it. If the answer is no, that there's nothing that you can do at this moment in time to remedy that truth that you're telling yourself, then tell yourself, I hear you, I'm listening to you, I care, but there's nothing we can do right now, so I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to experience what is happening right now. Thank you, though, thinking mind. So Horney goes on to say that the opposite of neuroses is a condition called self-realization. The opposite of neuroses is a condition called self-realization, which is a state of being in which the person responds to the world with the full depth of his or her spontaneous feelings, rather than with anxiety-driven compulsion. Thus, the person grows to actualize his or her inborn potentialities. She compares this process to an acorn that grows and becomes a tree. The acorn has had the full potential to be the tree all along. So what, again, she is saying is that the difference between somebody who is neurotic and somebody who is not neurotic is that the neurotic individual lives inside their mind and is driven by anxious compulsions of what they think that they need. And the person who is not affected by neuroses is somebody who lives in the present moment and acts upon reality as external circumstances change. So if you want to shift from being driven by anxious compulsions into living in the present moment, what you first have to do is change your truths, the truths that you're telling yourself, first of all, so that you can act in the present moment and fulfill and manifest into the present moment what you want to act and manifest into the present moment. So first you need to take a look at the false truths that you're telling yourself that Carl Jung alluded to. Change those truths. Just decide to change them. Literally decide to change them. Don't look at your story in the past. Just change your truths and rewrite your story. Rewrite your story, and then let go of the thinking mind and act in the present moment and write your story as time unfolds. So what Horney was alluding to by self-realization is really realizing who you actually really are. Okay? And who you really are is a being of unlimited potential, a being of unlimited light, an extension of source energy, a creator of everything. You create everything. So, with that being said, it's up to you how you choose to create. And it's not your fault that you learned these conditions, these ways of being from your upbringing. But it is your responsibility to change this conditioning, to change your way of being if you want to live a happy life, if you want to learn to accept yourself, if you want to learn the truth of who you really are, and the truth is that you are pure love. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. Also click the little notification icon there so you can get notified when a new video comes up. And you can, join me on this journey, and let's grow together. All right, guys. Much love, peace, and namaste.